Hi, this is Timothy Chemo Bryan.
And this is Kyle Mondo.
And you're listening to Podwrecked, where we help you survive your podcast. And on today's episode, we've been a little AWOL, haven't we, folks? Well, we're going to let you know exactly what we've been doing, and you are going to be impressed. That's right, folks. Kyle and I have been a little bit AWOL here, so we want to thank you for popping in here with us and finding out what we're doing here. And this episode is going to be about where Kyle and I have traversed through the universe, shall we say. And Kyle loves those, $64,000 words that I like to use. And $64,000, that's an interesting number because I'm participating in NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Months. What you do for that is you write 50,000 words in 30 days for a novel. Folks, it's every day, 1,667 words that you're writing. And it can be, a novel that you've already written that you're working on, or it's a brand new spanking novel. There is a wonderful online community to help you go ahead and do that. And I'm actually going ahead and doing that for myself because I'd like to do those artsy kind of things. And it goes well with Create Art Podcast. So if you want to read the novel, you can actually go over to my createartpodcast.com website, and I post stuff there every day. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of spelling errors, a lot of grammatical errors, but that's okay. Not only am I doing that, Kyle here, he's to my right, all right? He said, well, he actually challenged me to do NAPOD POMA, which is National Podcasting Post Month. And this is all during November, folks. I mean, you figure November, you got your Veterans Day. So thank you to all of our veterans out there. Kyle and I are both veterans. So you can thank us for our service by going to podwrecked.com and listening to all the episodes. You can join the Salvage Dawg Team there. That's the special team. The Wrecking Crew team, the Salvage Wrecking Crew team, that's one team. Salvage Dawg Team, that's Tim's team. But you have the Veterans Day thing going on. You've got Thanksgiving going on. You've got National Family Volunteer Day the Saturday before Thanksgiving. How do I know that? Because I lead a volunteer program at work. Yay for me. But Kyle here, he thought Tim doesn't have enough to do. He needs to do a podcast episode every day for 30 days for the month of November. And you know what? Challenge accepted, Kyle. Challenge accepted. I have been knocking it out every day, writing my 1,667 words and doing my podcast episode. And how I've decided to do it is I'll write the words. I've set up my website, and then I record what I wrote. Not a whole lot of editing going on. It's not the prettiest sounding stuff that you're going to hear, but you know what? It's fresh off the press. It is, I write it, I read it, it's posted, it's good to go. I'll edit the novel actually later. But that's what I've been doing, folks. So I'm working on 30 hours a day. Y'all can work on 24 hours a day, but I'm working on 30 hours a day. Plus, I just put a new roof on my house. So, Kyle, I'd like to see you top that if you could. Oh, and I'm a father of twin 6-year-olds who are going to school here. So, Kyle, we're going to let you try to top that.
Okay. All right. You set the bar. The bar is super high. Okay. Let's see if I can top that. All right. So in October, there's something called Inktober. Now, last year I did Inktober rather than make a drawing once a day for 31 days, or do Inktober 52, which is a drawing a week for a year long. I decided to spin that up and do script writing for a audio drama. So every day I would write a paragraph, and then after 31 days, I had a script, a full script beginning to end. And last year when I did National Podcast Post Month, or NAPOD POMO, yeah, I know these acronyms are, I mean, if you're in the military, these acronyms just kind of become second nature. But if you're not, then it's going to take a while for you to kind of figure out what all these things mean. But took the script and created an audio drama from scratch called Pause for Dramatic Effect. That's what I did last year. I wrote for 30 days and then I produced for 30 days. And it was brutal. It was very, very brutal. So this year, I decided to flip that up a little bit. So it became a challenge I did with Tim earlier this year with poetry. And then during Inktober, I decided to write another script for another audio drama. This audio drama hasn't come out yet. It's titled No Radio Contact. It's a monster drama. And when I got to the end with the script, I had a choice to make. Was I going to do Pause for Dramatic Effect Season 2? Was I going to do No Radio Contact? Or was I going to give myself a break? And so what I decided to do was, okay, I'm already producing yet another podcast called War Yankee. War Yankee is about the overland campaign of 1864. Grant and the Army of the Potomac crossing in, and all the war takes place for like 47 days during the Civil War. I've been doing that one for maybe 2 or 3 months now. I decided, you know what? I will turn up the notch and I will do not only the regular War Yankee episodes, which are roughly an hour long. It takes me 2 or 3 weeks to write one, and then to create an episode takes me a couple hours, and then to edit the episode. And then, so it's not easy to do history. I thought audio drama was hard. History podcast. Wow. That's even harder. Because not only does it have to sound interesting, you have to get stuff right. And sometimes I don't pronounce names correctly and I don't get things. So there's all this production value that goes into that that's really hard to do. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to add a bonus episodes onto this called War Yankee Intelligence, where like little snippets, like, how did you get into the Army in 1864? Or what was the typical recruit like? Or what was an officer like? And talk about these little things. And I thought they'd be little like 10-minute episodes. And after the 5th one, it turned out to be like 40 minutes. I was starting to create yet another, almost a splinter podcast. And so I got to about halfway into the first week of National Podcast Post Month, and I was like, I think I'm burnt. I think I burned myself out. I literally burned myself out. And in that same week, I have dry rot in my front door. My water heater blew up. And dogs and cats living together in my house. So that was kind of the place I got to. And I think I've shut down a podcast called Podfader. I've killed it dead. I removed it from Apple iTunes. It got canceled it off of Libsyn. I killed my first podcast dead. It's pod dead. It's not pod faded. It's not podwrecked. It's pod dead. It does not exist anymore. You cannot find it unless you go to podfader.com. It's the only place it kind of exists. And that's going away by the end of the year anyway. So that whole podcast is just going away. So that was my one thing I did, is I started cleaning house. And I think this is what November became. Besides trying to grow a beard out, November becomes it's time to clean house. Some point during this entire epidemic, this quarantine, all this, you just collected a lot of this creative cruff laying around. It was time to clean house, time to focus on projects I actually was interested in. It was time to let projects that had given me a lot of value, a lot of, interests. I dedicated a lot of time to, but had to thank them. Thank you, project. You did me some happiness. And wish it well, and put it on into the river Styx, and send it on. And that is my November. So am I in National Podcast Post Month? Yeah, I kinda. I think I will still post some more episodes, but I'm 5 episodes behind. So it's 30 episodes in 30 days. Probably not going to hit that unless I decide to crunch down and just do like a whole bunch of episodes all at once. But then again, just like you told me, Tim, are they quality? Am I just trying to put them out because I'm trying to put them out, or is it quality? So maybe it's just, sometimes, some years it doesn't work. Some years it's just you're not in the place to do that. Where I think what you've done, which is write for a day and then create a podcast out of reading what you've written, you're kind of almost editing your novel as you're going, because I'm sure as you write it, as you said, misspellings, things like that, grammatical, whatever. But when you read it out loud, you kind of fix those in your own head.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the story goes, because you're doing it not only internally in your mentally in your mind, but now you're verbally talking it out. Now you know where the story, like maybe you, I don't know if you ever get stuck when you're writing, but when you talk it out, sometimes you're like, oh, you know what? The story could go this way. I'm going to take a twist, take a turn. I wonder if you're experiencing that as you create this stuff, because I'm at the place where I think it's time for me to take a breath, which is good because burnout's bad.
Well, Kyle, you may need to take a breath because we got to hit our 50 episodes this year. I mean, one of us has to, limp us over the finish line here of 2020. And you're the guy that can limp us over that. You're the hiker. I mean, me, I'm Air Force. I don't hike. We don't walk. If we can't fly there, we don't go. It just doesn't happen. We're not going to go there. Our rule is if they don't have, a 4-star hotel, we're not invading. It's not going to happen. Sorry. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think it was that joke is securing a building. Mm-hmm. For the Marine Corps, securing the building is blowing it up, going and killing everybody inside. For the Army to secure a building is to surround it with sandbags and put machine gun nests on every corner. For the Navy to secure a building, it's to turn off the lights and lock the door when they leave. And for the Air Force to secure a building, it's putting down a lease with an option to buy and a 5-year contract.
Mm-hmm. That's what we do. Exactly. That's what we do.
The services. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. But Kyle, I mean, we are back. We haven't left, but we've stayed very busy for everyone. We wanted to check in with you guys and let you know, hey, this is what we're doing here. If you haven't heard from us for a while, we miss all of you as well. And we will finish out the year with 50 episodes. It's going to happen. And we just are very happy to provide all this content, all these great ideas for you. Like Kyle was mentioning earlier, we have the predictions that, I went through the predictions the other day and I'm looking at it going, ooh, we had a crystal ball. The only thing we didn't predict, worldwide pandemic. But that has nothing to do with podcasting. So we're clear. We're good.
Creepy. You go to the predictions page on podwrecked.com and read those predictions. It's like goosebumps. It's like we predicted almost the entire podcasting industry's trends for the year 2020. And the only thing we didn't predict, but the thing about it is audio content. I mean, being in quarantine, dang, it's practically a godsend for audio content. I'm sure listening habits changed and my listening habits changed, but my content production, maybe that could be another reason why November is a good month to take in, to first have some gratitude for the fact of you've made it this far and still got a roof over your head, still employed, the family's still in one piece. No one's got sick. So there is a lot of things to be thankful for. And Thanksgiving, of course, then, amplifies that even more. But when you're thinking about being a content producer, is being locked inside your house was kind of like Tuesday for me. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of what I do normally, is working from home. So there's this constant, now I can I'm just going to up my game with content. And at some point you have to take a breath, because if you burn yourself out, then you produce nothing. And that's the risk of burnout. Although I have so many things I'm working on that I love working on. It's just, it doesn't end. The muse is singing in the corner like crazy. So
you got to pick one though, Kyle. You got to pick one. And your one will be Podwrecked. So
absolutely. Yeah. Podwrecked is my true love. Tim, you're my true love.
It's not Valentine's Day yet, Kyle. You don't have to do that.
I'm very thankful for you. Yes, I'm very thankful. So.
And if you're thankful for Podwrecked, you need to get over to podwrecked.com and check out all of our past episodes, all of the predictions. And again, shoot us an email. Let us know what you would like to hear. We are here to help you out. We see problems. We see issues going on in the podcasting industry. We see things that we want to inform you about. But if we're not, investigating what you want us to investigate, hey, let us know. It's not like you can do that with ABC, CBS, or NBC, or any of the other stations out there. You actually have a say in how this podcast goes.
Absolutely.
So we want you to email us, podwrecked@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to what you want to have investigated. As long as it's podcast related, we're not going to investigate, your Uncle Louie's, mysterious disturbance at Skull Island. We're not doing that one.
Roll, Reggie.
But anything podcasting that you have a question on, or something you want to learn more about, you got two guys here that have a ton of industry knowledge. If we don't know it, we have a ton of contacts that we can go ahead and tap people on the shoulder, like Hall of Fame podcaster Dave Jackson, or Matt Passy. Hey, I got it. Hey, Turkey Day is coming. I got to get the $100.
That was a double header right there. 200s in a row. Yeah. And I'll put the links to all these like interesting little challenges and things that we've been doing. I'll put the links in the show notes for that. But like Inktober.com is one. National Novel Writers Month. Wow, these acronyms is NaMoWriMo.org. And then of course National Podcast Post Month, which is NodPodPomo.org. I know those sound like just like I'm making up words, but I will put those links in the show notes. And it's weird because each one of these little groups, like Inktober, lives on Instagram. It has a website, but Instagram is this place. National National Novel Writers Month. I have to say it in my own head. Its website's a little more polished. Mm-hmm. So it's a good place for going. And the National Podcast Post Month lives on Facebook. The Facebook forum is very active. So they kind of have their own little social communities that you can get involved in and get inspiration from, get support for people who are also doing the same challenge. When you're struggling, there's a lot of people in those groups that can help you out. And you'd be surprised that if you're stuck, you can, and you don't have to like, oh, I missed November 1st. I can't be in or October. That already passed. I can't do that. Not true. You can jump into these anytime and challenge yourselves. Inktober's got something called Inktober 52, where you can do once a week. National Podcast Post Month. You could jump in right in the middle right now. Just start. You'd be surprised how many people will be just like, hitting 30 is not really the key. Just starting a podcast is the key, and they will help you. So there's tons of resources going on right now. And of course, the final one is the novel writing. You ever wanted to write a novel? Dang. The people I've talked to in the National Novel Writers Month group are incredibly helpful. And not only are they helpful, but they're positive. Even if your writing is, they know how to make into So don't be afraid to ask these people. And everyone can be a better writer. And writing here makes better podcasts, because if you can write down a script, maybe not word for word, but at least outline, if you can write that down before you talk, now you know what you're talking about. Now there's actually a good content coming out of your mouth into your podcast, and not just you rambling on like I am right now. I make it look easy, but really I'm just right at the top of my head. Whee! That's right. And the thing I tell everyone not to do, but that's okay, because actually that's not true. Tim and I already knew what we're going to talk about beforehand, but shh, that's a secret. Don't tell anybody that Tim and I already knew what we were going to talk about, but pretend like we don't. Yeah, that's the beauty of podcasting. So Tim, why don't you close us out here with some final thoughts about all these challenges and all this stuff? What is the big takeaway from these heavy duty content creation challenges that you think can help some of the folks out there?
Well, the thing it helps is the thing that helps it all is this. We always talk about in the artistic world and in the content creation world, getting that inspiration. I'm waiting for the inspiration. I'm waiting for the muse. And the muse is do 30 podcast episodes in 30 days. Write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. It's a nice kick in the rear, and it gets you up and going. The big thing is, and Kyle mentioned this earlier, is to not burn out. If you don't hit 30 podcast episodes in 30 days, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? You tried, because most people don't even try. You didn't write that novel. You peaked out at 20,000 words. And you got writer's block, which I don't believe in, but you got writer's block at 20,000 words. Okay. Well, you know what? How about December? You pick it up. How about instead of writing 1,667 words a day, you write 100 words a day. and then you write 200. You do that for a week, you write 200 words a day, and then you build up to it. All this stuff that we're doing, we're not trying to, puff up our chest or anything like that. We're, presenting it to you to help you with your ideas, with your motivation, with your inspiration, with the muse, whatever it is that you need help with. Right here, right now, there it is for you. Knock it out of the park. If you don't get it all the way knocked out, that's okay. You tried, you learned something from it, and boom, that's another podcast that you could run right there. Don't tell Kyle that, because he will do something like that, and I'll have to help him out with it. I'm already busy enough as it is. So pick a challenge, give it a shot, see what happens with it. If you want to talk to us about it, go ahead and shoot us an email over at podwrecked@gmail.com. Check out our website and all the good stuff that we have there for you. Kyle, what are your final thoughts on this?
Well, it kind of goes off of something I just heard you say. I had the opportunity to talk to Sean Howard, who is one of the producers of podcasts like Axe and Crown and Alba Silix and Civilized, that they run a production company called Fable and Folly. He said that you have to sometimes make the mistakes, make the failed projects before you can get to the project that you actually is good. That you have to fall on your face a bunch of times. So there's a whole lot of things you're going to have to do that I don't want to do it. It's not perfect. I can't do it if it's not perfect. I can't do it. It's not perfect. And his advice was, you're going to have to do it, and it may suck. It may be the worst thing you ever created, but you kind of had to do that and get it out of the way before you realized the thing you didn't know to get you to the next project where that one didn't suck. That one was actually very good. And this is a creative problem that he sees with a lot of creatives all the time, is they want it to be perfect. It has to be the twist no one's ever seen coming, or it's got to be written in a way that no one understands. Oh, this is like the ground setting genre. And he says, no, that's all garbage. He goes, you need to write what you need to write and get it out of your system, because until you get it out of your system, you won't be able to see the next thing. And I was like, whoa, that was very, very deep. So that's my advice I'd like to pass on to you via Sean Howard, $100. Sean Howard over at Fable and Folly, is do it anyway. And that's the whole fear thing, right? Yeah. Everyone's afraid. But the difference is you do it anyway, even if you are afraid. You do it despite the fear. So this is the time. Jump in with these challenges. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Give it a try. See what happens. You'll be surprised. I guarantee you'll be surprised.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can stop having the gas come through your microphone. We lost it.
There we go.
It'll never come back.
It'll never come back. Baby sharka, 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 baby sharka, 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 baby sharka, sharka, baby shark.
We're going to get a call from Dave Jackson soon, guys.
Is that the end?
The lights are off. The bar is closed. I would think that would be the indication of an end. Yes.
Well, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
But I am at home. They turned off the lights on me here. I am at home. I thought I had internet here. I don't have power. What's up with that?
This podcast is part of the GagglePod Network. Find more podcasts like this at gagglepod.com.